Desde que despegamos allá por 1924, buscamos nuestra mejor versión. Y así, descubrimos que nuestra forma única de mirar la vida es lo que nos hace ticos. Descubrimos que todos somos hijos de una misma madre, naturaleza, y que al escuchar no se puede. Miramos hacia adelante y despegamos. Gracias a toda esa historia estamos listos. Listos para empezar desde lo que somos y soñar con lo que seremos. Tu Imperial de siempre con una nueva imagen. Imperial. Despegá y descubrí tu grandeza.
Acompáñanos a redescubrir San José, a ver con nuevos ojos este lugar que es tuyo. Recorre de nuevo sus calles y sus plazas. Redescubrí sus rincones y sus escondites. Asómate por sus ventanas. Disfruta de cada sonido y de la plenitud de sus silencios. Degusta de sus sabores y sus aromas. Envolvete en su arte y su cultura. Sácale el jugo a sus días azules y a sus noches vibrantes. Abraza a su gente. Sorprendete con sus maravillas. Sentite siempre bienvenido. Esta ciudad es tuya. Es la que siempre estuvo aquí, pero ahora brilla como nunca. Gran Hotel Costa Rica, desde 1930. Curio Collection by Hilton.
Muy buenos días. Estamos muy felices de poder abrir esta tercera edición de URA. totalmente afortunados de poder llevarles 3 días de hermosas experiencias, talleres, showcases y muchos conversatorios, pero sobre todo las ganas de que todos ustedes puedan tener un poquito de conocimiento a través de lo que en estos días se les va a presentar. Bienvenidos a URA, Mercado Cultural de la Música de Centroamérica y el Caribe. Y esperamos que todos se puedan conectar y disfrutar de todas estas experiencias. El día de hoy es un motivo de agrado el poder contar con la presencia de nuestro primer participante, primer expositor, un amigo, sobre todo un amigo que ha venido a apoyar y a aportar su conocimiento. El señor Aser el Saqqa es un director creativo, programador de festivales, emprendedor cultural, con una amplia experiencia en Oriente Medio y Europa, promocionando y gestionando artistas emergentes del mundo árabe. Tiene un historial de construcción y el mantenimiento de asociaciones institucionales significativas en el sector cultural internacional, tanto en el sector público como el privado, y con la infraestructura pública y artística del Reino Unido. Tiene sólidas relaciones con los medios y es experto en transmitir el valor de la cultura para explotar cuestiones de identidad y raíces, humanizar las diferencias percibidas y también construye, lidera e inspira equipos, artistas, socios y audiencias exitosos con una visión de artes escalables sin fronteras accesibles para todos. Eso es Dura. Precisamente también don Aser es el fundador y director gerente de Canteen en London, una plataforma líder para la escena artística de la diáspora de Londres que facilita el intercambio de arte e ideas a través de fronteras sociales y geográficas. Bienvenido, Aser. Hello, Aser. Good morning.
Hola, hola, muy buenas a todos, and thank you so much for hosting this wonderful third edition of URA. I'm delighted and grateful to you and the team for this opportunity.
No, it's our pleasure to have you here. It's the first time we can join with you, and especially at this special time for us. That is the third edition of URA, and
Yeah,
welcome to
thank you
Costa
so
Rica.
much. I do appreciate all the efforts in putting this conversation today for the audience globally and in Costa Rica, and of course in the United Kingdom. Surely there will be people with interest who are viewing this interview today. Thank you so much.
No, it's our pleasure. Well, maybe next time you will be here beside of us and in person.
Fingers crossed. I would be delighted. Thank you so much, and thanks to Alejandro, is also one of the directors of the festival. So my extended gratitude to both of you.
Yes, well, it's nice to have the opportunity to share the music, especially, and the knowledge about the different topics of the as you know. Well, maybe you can talk about we can talk about the diaspora and everything that you are doing with.
Yes, as you kindly mentioned earlier in your introduction, my name is Aser Saqqa, and I'm the managing director and the founder of Arts Canteen, which is a platform established in London in 2011. And we are mainly shedding a light as an organization on arts and culture from the Middle East. Our program is very intense, and it has various multidisciplinary art forms. So we support emerging artists, we support musicians, we create our own festivals, and also we do produce some music shows in the United Kingdom and beyond. And over the last 12 years, we have been managed to create this kind of a small community of artists and collective to try and be part of the fabric of the London cultural and artistic scene. So it is really a focus on the Middle East. And when I say the Middle East, I mean really the Arab world. But we cannot distinct ourselves from the rest of the world. So when I say the Arab world, there is 22 countries, but obviously we have to work also with the neighboring countries such as South Mediterranean, North Africa, Iran, and Turkey. So we see that there is a link between all of these cultures artistically and historically and culturally. Therefore, our task is really to be inclusive as much as we can, but also our area of expertise is the Middle East and North Africa. Do you want to translate some of this so I can keep going? Thank you.
You can keep going.
Thank you so much.
Be free to talk about the everything.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. So for the musicians who are now navigating their ways into their genres in the diaspora, it is really a very interesting subject that I have researched, and over the years I managed to learn a lot about this industry, and it is really fascinating to see a second and third generation of musicians and artists changing rapidly over the time with their genres, and they are more brave into trying and bring new sounds to their projects and their music. It has been a difficult times for some of these communities to survive via the arts and culture sector, and especially in big cities and towns in the diaspora, particularly in the United Kingdom. It's sometimes a hard work for artists to keep going with their imagination, and livelihood is also an important factor of how to support and finance and fund some of these projects. The main umbrella in the diaspora in the United Kingdom for funding and sourcing finance support is actually the Arts Council England. And this is a governmental organization that support very much the applications giving to those artists, and it is very competitive to get through some of very successful applications. So lots of the diasporic artists from the Arab world and the Middle East has to go also somewhere else to seek assistance and support from different organizations such as foundations, charities. Indeed, there is some other European funding bodies that some of these artists also trying to reach out to make sure that they are also part of this process. With labels and record labels, unfortunately, the Arab world is lacking the independent labels as such. So they are also in a very difficult position. Therefore, there is big companies that they support artists in the Middle East, but they are mainly on the commercial side of the production and distribution. The independent artist is always a challenge to try and find the right support for this kind of initiatives. Therefore, in my view, it's always works when collective communities comes together as producers and curators and festivals. And indeed, there is now a trend which is very common among all artists, whether they are Arabs or North Africans or Middle Eastern, is the crowdfunding. And it's also a tool that these artists are trying also to use while they can. So the crowdfunding online proved to be working for some of these artists for their launch of the albums or record first time record label. I found this is also an interesting way of generating some funding through these kind of platforms.
Well,
For
well,
us in the United, sorry, did you want to stop me for a
no,
question?
no, no, no.
Okay,
Sorry,
good.
no. That's the same thing in I think in the whole world, right?
Yeah,
The situation is almost the same.
yes,
That's one of the reasons that we need to work together.
absolutely. And one thing I also would like to mention is the last 2 years of the pandemic has been really hitting hard every single musician and every single producer and artist in the world, particularly with live music. As you know, the sector has been hit hard by the closure of all of these venues, and the live music was really a struggle to survive and come back on their feet again, to make sure that they can generate more income for their projects. Sadly, some of the artists I know of, they went to seek new jobs and different opportunities, and they left the music sector and they choose to go somewhere else to find the new jobs to survive these very difficult times, some of which will come back surely to the music and the what they were passionate about. But I think in the last 2 years we've seen and witnessed a huge number of these artists just trying to survive via different routes, if you agree with me.
Yes, sure. Is the one of the reasons that we began with the mercado with Dura. This is the objective, uh, the main objective that we have in the market because we know that it's important for the artists to increase and to get some knowledge about the trademark, also how develop the activity in order to get another incoming, because
Yeah,
there is no way for them, for the artists, uh, to get a or increase the incoming their incoming,
yeah,
if we
that's
don't have
absolutely.
any if they don't have any activity. It's incredible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for example, last night I produced a show for the London Jazz Festival. So she was a Lebanese British artist who live in Marseille, but we produced the show for her in the
Ah,
London Jazz Festival. And for my surprise, by the end of the evening, Nadine Khouri has sold most of her CDs and vinyls. And this is really very significant how people at the moment are trying their best to support artists by purchasing some of these printed and physical vinyls and CDs, because as you know, we live in a digital era now, and it's very hard that people buy this kind of stuff. But I was really pleased and happy to see people are buying still CDs and vinyls from artists after the show, especially when the artists just contribute their signature on the CD, on the vinyls. It's a nice way of being supporting the artist as well.
well, good for her, because as you said, is now in nowadays with the platforms like the stream for streamings like Spotify or uh, Deezer or
SoundCloud and
SoundCloud
yeah,
and Soundcamp, Bandcamp, and well, it's it's good to know that the there is a conscious in buying the or trying to support the artists, right?
yes, absolutely. While we are here today, also, I think it's important to mention, you know, the crisis with identity among the musicians, because as you know, the Arab artists are from different background. They are diverse culturally, socially, and at some occasions they are very diverse politically as well. So it's really important to shed a light on the differences with all of these artists, and this big question of the identity of musicians and how they want really to present themselves among all the other musicians that they are competing with in the city and in towns and online, wherever in this industry. It's really hard for these musicians to find an identity that suits their ambitions and their creative imagination. So it's enriching the experience, all of these genres of the young musicians today, because it's really varies between hip hop to rap music to folktronic music to world music, or to even pop and jazz. So it's really very diverse how approaches has been taken in the last say 15-20 years.
Yeah.
And I think being digital savvy today is also a tool to help you to stand out and produce your own music with very little resources and sources, but you need to be clever enough to make sure that you stand up for the quality of your project, and confident that your art and your music is genuinely yours, and it's not copy and paste by somebody else, or it is sort of really imitation of another artist. So I think it's important that artists today are trying their best to stand as original as it can be. So this is really very, very, very promising as well.
Sure. Well, Aser, what are the most important factors that you consider when you work with Arabic musicians?
I think this is really a very good question. It's artists need to have a narrative. Artists need to have a mission statement. Artists need to believe in a message that they wanted to deliver, and I think this is really what attracts me most than anything else. It is the presentation of this artist. It's the content of this project. It's how this project will be perceived and considered for the audience and the viewers. For me, this is really an important factor of how and why I choose to work with the artist I work with as a music curator and producer in festivals and events. I think, someone like myself, humbly saying, I receive lots of emails all the time, but definitely I need to be very selective as well, and to make sure that the artists I work with are really of a standard, and they really have a story that is to be shared and to be told.
Well, it's good to know, especially for them, right? Because
Yes, absolutely.
yes. Can you provide an example of a time when you had a challenging situation with music event?
Yes, this is also very interesting question. Thank you. I had lots of challenges, situations before. As you can well imagine, over the last 12 years, we've been facing huge challenges financially, economically, and also politically, let's put it that way. And to be straightforward and honest about this scene here today in the UK, it has been changed massively. And one of the changes is Brexit. Brexit is the United Kingdom has separated itself from the EU. Therefore, You know, this has came as a surprise, obviously, but also there is some complications with musicians' mobility and movement between Europe and the United Kingdom, and
Yeah.
this is alarming because now the bureaucracy and the paperwork and the work permit, plus the addition of the expenses and the financial pressure on artists is huge. And if you want me to give an example about one of the most challenges, is, for example, you know, a few years ago, I invited a Syrian band to come and perform in the United Kingdom, and it was for a big festival. And we put the applications, we completed all the terms and conditions of the visa application, and we issued obviously official letters and proof of bank statements as a company, and the whole 7 musicians were refused visa to come to the United Kingdom on
No.
the basis that it is a high risk. So we had to cancel the show after we booked hotels and, you know, booked the venue and prepared all the work in terms of marketing and promotion. And I do remember that band, the Syrian band, was about to perform in one of the most prestigious events, which is WMEX. That's the World Music Expo, and it was
Yeah.
held in Cardiff, which is part of the United Kingdom. So also my event in London was cancelled, and the day before they meant to go to WMEX to perform in a showcase, and
Uh-huh.
even ministers and political allies could not save the day by really interfering with the Home Office and issue visa. So this is always a very challenging position when artists from the Middle East and the Arab world get declined visas. And the case happened this week for another Egyptian band. They were about to perform in the Jazz Cafe, one of the most prestigious, again, venues in London. And it was a 2 days sold out show. So, you know, this is the kind of things that we are facing and challenging all the time.
No, well, it's hard because you never be prepared for that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
Well,
it's
now we learned the lesson, so we are cautious, but you never know.
yeah. Well, as you said, it's a challenge. I I agree with this. It's incredible, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Surely this happens everywhere in the world, but you know, I do hope that this kind of conversation open people's mind to some of these issues and how important it is for politicians and decision makers to look at alternatives ways of supporting and helping musicians for their mobility and for their visas.
Yeah. How would you promote your curate music projects?
Thanks for the question. This is also a very good question. In fact, you know, you can't just randomly promote these events. You have to have a strategy and plans in place. And over the years, we managed to create, if you like, a network of supporters, initiatives, community groups, as well as our subscribers for our newsletter, who we find is still very loyal, even though it is not the tradition to go online and subscribe for a newsletter. But I think it still is one of these traditional tools that we still use to generate some interest in our events. Adding to all of this, of course, is the social media that play a factor, not everything, but a little bit in spreading the word and be up there visually and be part of these social media campaigns. For me, it is really the quality of your projects, and it's your honesty that brings people together. People want to see something exciting. People wanted, as I always say, and maybe you share my views with this, is people want to buy a ticket and they want to find the value that is for this ticket is really important for them. So the value of this ticket, let's say it's 15 pounds or 20 pounds or 30 pounds, whatever it is, they wanted to make sure that they really coming and enjoying themselves with a very special occasion.
Exactly, because they are paying and they deserve to have a good show, and well, they have the
Yes,
opportunity to see something special.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Because if you don't really deliver and take in account all of these elements, it's really hard to survive the next time. You wanted to make sure that people return and return back again, again, again.
sure, sure. I said, who are your audiences?
This is really, again, interesting question, and it's a big question. It's a big question because I am one of these people who learned a lesson in life to say not everyone is my audience. No, I need to be very specific. I need to minimize my circle. I wanted to make sure that the projects I promote and deliver, it's targeting certain people, and these people are people from the regions, ethnically diverse. They are from the Arab world. They are music lovers of certain genres. So I need to really be specific. If the event is about Arab jazz, then I need to really make sure that my target is the jazz lovers of this particular genre. Or if it is a rapper, I need to make sure that there is an age between, you know, 18 to 35 or whatever it is. So it depends really who is the events curated for and which type of genre, and then we can decide accordingly how to go with the audience. But mainly speaking and generally speaking, my audience are really people who appreciate very much our curatorial projects that we produce, and we bring fresh blood into the scene. We bring some exciting artists who are really carving a name for themselves, and they are at the beginning or at the mid journey of their career. So they are not really a well-established artist, and they are not famous. They are not celebrities yet, but with due respect, of course, to all of these big names, but I think we decided to be a little bit niche and focus on the emerging and the mid-career artists in this case.
Well, well, it's nice to and interesting to know all the things around the diaspora and the work that you are doing in our canteen in our canteen, because it's hard. It's hard to work
Yeah,
and
it is hard, but we're still enjoying doing what we
exactly.
do, and for us there is no way back. We need to keep going and trying different things, and this work is not done individually. This work is done by our collective and collective work with colleagues and partners and people like yourself who really witness and see how important it is to work together in most of the occasion.
And if we are together with you also,
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
we appreciate that you were this morning with us.
Yeah,
And
thank you so much.
if you want to say some words to end this nice conversation with you.
Thank you. I really appreciate, first of all, our partnership and our friendship, and I'm delighted to be on the platform with Yura, and hopefully we'll find a way of exploring possibilities of collaboration. I am so keen to find out more about the Arab communities in Central America and South America in general. And surely these millions of 1950s and 60s immigrants has produced some artists in the region. And one day we'll do the proper research, and maybe we can have a panel discussion around this publicly and privately to see how can we really feature some of these artists and work together collaboratively to identify who these artists are, and if they can maybe bring a showcase to Euro as well at some point.
Sure. Well, Aser, this is the beginning.
Exactly.
And if you have the dream, well, comes true.
Yeah. So from me, thank you so much to you and the team, and a very good luck with your third edition on this occasion.
Thank you. Blessings for you, and thank you for sharing us.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day to you and all the audience as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
All the
nice
best.
time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. All the
Bye.
best.
Hasta luego, pura vida.
Hasta luego. Muchísimas gracias a usted. Hasta luego.
Desde que despegamos allá por 1924, buscamos nuestra mejor versión. Y así, descubrimos que nuestra forma única de mirar la vida es lo que nos hace ticos. Descubrimos que todos somos hijos de una misma madre, naturaleza, y que al escuchar no se puede. Miramos hacia adelante y despegamos. Gracias a toda esa historia estamos listos para empezar desde lo que somos y soñar con lo que seremos. Tu Imperial de siempre con una nueva imagen. Imperial. Despega y descubrí tu grandeza.
Acompáñanos a redescubrir San José, a ver con nuevos ojos este lugar que es tuyo. Recorre de nuevo sus calles y sus plazas. Redescubrí sus rincones y sus escondites. Asómate por sus ventanas. Disfruta de cada sonido y de la plenitud de sus silencios. Degusta de sus sabores y sus aromas. Envolvete en su arte y su cultura. Sácale el jugo a sus días azules y a sus noches vibrantes. Abraza a su gente. Sorprendete con sus maravillas. Sentite siempre bienvenido. Esta ciudad es tuya. Es la que siempre estuvo aquí, pero ahora brilla como nunca. Gran Hotel Costa Rica, desde 1930. Curio Collection by Hilton.